Welcome back to another episode of the Game Language Podcast, where we deduce, dissect, and discuss video games and whether or not they speak our language. I'm Troy, and with me always is
Jason.
What's up, man?
Oh, I'm vibing. Haven't heard that song in a minute.
Yeah, it's been a little while. A lot has happened. A lot has changed.
Yeah. Especially you. Mm-hmm. How have you been?
I've been good. I got married.
Yeah.
I'm a whole new man. It changes you. It really does. It's like you put the ring on, and it's just all of a sudden, I can try harder. I can do more.
You know, hearing that makes me believe that rings in fantasy games actually do increase your stats.
This increases my patience stat. But really, no, I'm happy to be married. It's really cool. It's a journey that me and Alex have been on for a long time. So, yeah, if you ask anybody around, it's a long time coming.
Yeah, it was also really cool to be at your wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the speech line. The line to give a speech. Mm-hmm. That was fun.
Yeah. That was the longest. I did not expect so many people to get up to give a speech.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is one person goes up, gives everyone else courage. Because as you saw, like one person went, then it was like, no, I got to go up there.
Yeah.
And then someone else is like, well, if he's going up there, I got to go up there too.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
But it's a good time. But aside from getting married, I have been playing a lot, but what about you? What have you been playing? What you playing?
What have I been playing? I've been playing a lot.
Yeah.
I played and completed Silent Hill 2, the remake.
Nice.
I've been playing Throne and Liberty, Guild Wars 2, and Resident Evil 4.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how did you enjoy Silent Hill?
Oh, I'm definitely going to go more into it in our impressions, but needless to say, I found it to be a masterpiece.
Really?
That is a genuinely like it's a game that is thought provoking. It's another. I think it's better than Last of Us in terms of story.
Really?
Like, I think it might be one of the greatest stories told in video games with the way that it uses psychological horror and the way it tackles the very adult themes that it. Because every character in that game is very they're very broken, and the things that they are broken with are touchy subjects. There's assault victims, there's people who are suicidal. It tackles a lot of those like more challenging themes that you would really only expect like prestigious art films to tackle well. And this game, for a video game to handle that, it was truly like it was truly a big deal that it did it so well.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, you're going to get like surface level commentary on that kind of stuff. But the way that it mixed horror with like those themes was insane.
Yeah.
Like I don't recommend it to everyone because it can be heavy. But if you are in the right mindset and can handle that, and you want to like have a more emotional story, I think it like you can't really do better. Like
really?
It's so good.
Okay. So it's worth being remade.
Oh yeah. The remake is, I wouldn't rewatch the original after I beat it. I'm very glad they remade it.
Really?
It's so cheesy and corny in the original. But because it's 2001.
Yeah.
The voice acting's just not there. The writing's there. But the delivery, and especially the presentation, I don't think personally hits as hard. I don't have nostalgia for it, so I'm coming in from someone who's there for the graphics.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that Bloober Team did in the remake that made it so like impactful to me had to do with the presentation. You get to know a lot about this character and his struggles, James, by just his like facial movements, dude.
Really?
Like the way there's, not to like spoil anything, but there's this particular scene where he's meeting with someone and they're drinking in an abandoned bar, and he doesn't drink, and you don't know the mystery yet. You just know that his wife had passed 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But he says that he doesn't want to drink, and the person like keeps trying to tempt him. And when they finally give up on tempting him, they walk away, but the camera focuses on James's face as you see his eyes and his mouth just like he craves that drink. And it's taking everything in him to not go for it. Like as he's even trying to get out of the bar stool, he's like still looking at it. It's those little details. Or, once you play the game, If you play the game, it seeing those moments, and then like also like once you know the whole story, a lot of those moments like hit way harder.
Really,
in retrospect. So very, very phenomenal game.
Nice. And aside from that, you said you were also playing Throne and Liberty.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm excited to go.
Hill.
I'm excited to talk about it later because it's a game that, whereas I don't really like to play horror games, but I love to watch them. I'm excited to watch some people once they fully play through.
Yes, absolutely watch it.
Yeah,
it's so good.
But you also said you were playing Guild Wars 2 and Throne and Liberty, so you're got the MMO bug. It sounds like
I'm double MMOing.
Yeah, that's a tall ask.
It is. It is. I was going to say that's actually an interesting conversation to have. Is like when you play a game, 2 games from the same genre. Do you feel like it's kind of hard to do that at the same time?
Yeah, I find it very hard. I feel like it's why whenever I'm putting time into one over the other, I'm like, why am I playing this when I should be playing this one? Or it makes one of the things, it makes the things that the game lacks stand out, whatever it's lacking in. So if the combat is better in one of the games and I'm playing one where the combat is worse, the whole time I'm thinking to myself, dang, I could be like doing this combat. But when I'm enjoying the story, I think to myself, yeah. Or when I'm playing one where the story's bad, I'm like, man, I wish I was more captivated by the story. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's how it feels when I play, especially MMOs. Yeah,
I was gonna say it's pretty hard for me to play unless the games are like kind of doing equal things differently.
Yeah.
It's hard because like with Throne and Liberty and Guild Wars 2, because I was playing Throne and Liberty, with you, and a couple of our friends. But then you and I got into Guild Wars 2 again, and I'm just playing Guild Wars 2, and I'm like, I like this. Like, I kind of like everything about it besides the graphics more than Throne and Liberty.
Yeah.
Oh, and the character creator.
Yeah.
I think my character looks cooler in Throne and Liberty.
Yeah, I think everything looks cooler in Throne and Liberty, but I like how everything feels in Guild Wars 2. I like the weightiness of my character. I like the mounts a lot. I like combat. I like everything in combat in Throne and Liberty is not bad at all, but it is a little bit on the jankier side. As where Guild Wars, it just feels like it's more like a MMO version of a stably built game, where the like MMO blemishes stand out more in Throne and Liberty for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to be honest, Guild Wars reminds me a lot of Dragon Age Inquisition, but being able to play with multiple people.
Yeah.
Because like the combat feels more actiony, even though it's still tap target essentially.
Yeah.
But I really like how they do that.
Yeah. It definitely feels like an RPG first, MMO second, versus other games that feel like MMO first, and then all the other fixins are on there to make it feel more immersive, you know? So, but that's not to say Throne and Liberty is bad. I still like it. I'm excited to go back into it once I've got my fill of Guild Wars, but I don't know how soon that'll be.
Yeah, I don't see it. I keep Throne and Liberty around just to play with friends that don't play Guild Wars.
I would say that's probably one of the best things about Throne and Liberty is that it's available on all systems and it's crossplay, whereas Guild Wars is strictly on PC, and that kind of sucks because I would love to play this with Alex. I wouldn't even really have to play Throne and Liberty if this was on PS5 or on consoles, because I'm sure Alex would enjoy this more because it's a little bit more simple and straightforward. It's easier to digest than Throne and Liberty can be.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with that. But yeah, definitely don't want to shit too much on Throne and Liberty though, because like I actually do think it's a very good game, and we'll get into that more in our impressions of it. But yeah, that's what we've been playing. Has there been any other games you're playing?
I've been playing Poke MMO, which has been really fun.
Oh
yeah,
yeah. Isn't that explain that one to me?
So it's it is a ROM. So you get the ROMs of these different Pokemon games, as long as you own them properly, and you put them together to play Poke MMO, which is essentially an MMO version of each of these games. So
with quotations on the MMO.
Quotations on MMO. I hope the quotations were heard through my voice too. But essentially, so you play the Pokemon game, and you can see all your friends and their avatars, and the dragons that they're riding, and all kinds of weird, like, you know, anime shit that they've got equipped on their character, but you don't really battle with them, or you can battle each other, but mainly you guys are just playing these games together. So you're playing Emerald together, you're playing Black and White together, you're playing like Leaf Green, so on and so forth.
Yeah, so when you say together, though, you mean pretty much you're playing it at the same time, but being able to see each other.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
because there's no.
There's really no interactability. It's not like Temtem where you guys can battle together or watch their fights or anything. None of that. The only way to watch somebody's fight is for them to stream it on Discord or something. Yeah, which is unfortunate. I really wanted to be able to battle together in that game, but what it does have is it definitely scratches a nostalgic itch. I'm excited to get to play Black and White because I never got to. I've heard great things about it.
I've never played it either.
Yeah, so being able to play that will be fun. Even if I'll be playing it alone with friends, being able to chat and talk about it, and hey, what's happening in your fight? What's happening in your fight, and so forth. What I do like is that pretty much all of the Pokemon from those generations from those generations are available on like a marketplace. So what you can do is you can go and buy them if you've earned enough badges or got enough money, or you can give the money to your friend who has collected enough badges, and then they can buy it for you. So now I've got Torchic and I've got Piplup in my main team.
So you got your bird teams coming together.
It's coming together. The only problem is that Rowlet's what generation is Rowlet in?
Sun and Moon.
Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon is not part of it yet.
So the 3Ds aren't there yet?
Yeah. It was Black and White 3D or no?
No. X and Y was the first 3D.
Yeah. So the 3Ds aren't there. And I hope that they get there someday because I would have liked to be able to use my Torchic, Rowlet, and Piplup.
Man, I feel like that would be so hard for them. Just because it's all sprite based from what like you've showed me. I don't know how you'd have to make custom sprites for Pokemon that don't exist in sprite form. Like that's kind of weird to think about, that X and Y onward, those Pokemon don't have sprites.
Yeah.
Other than like the Pokebox.
What they could do is just make it so that those Pokemon aren't available in those previous generations and just only future forward type thing. If they have a 3D model, then they can be in the 3D games. But I'm not going to ask too much. They've already done a lot. It's pretty fun. But yeah, I've been playing that. I'm trying to think. Playing that got me to re-download Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So I started grinding Scarlet and Violet a little bit.
Ooh,
yeah,
nice.
I went to Pokemon Home to get the guys that I saved from when I sold the game, and I'm gonna try to get my full bird team in that game. So,
hell yeah,
yeah. So it's been fun.
I'll say despite its technical issues, which there were an extreme amount, I had very high opinions of Violet.
I still have to play through all the DLC. I never played through both of them.
I don't think I even got it, to be honest. Yeah, I should play through that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's what we've been playing. So let's find out what's going on in the world of gaming with our 3 bites of news stories. The first one, this happened a while ago, but Ubisoft delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's supposed to be coming out November 15th, I believe. Now it's coming out February 14th on Valentine's Day. Yeah, if you don't have a Valentine, you got Yasuke and Naue.
That's true.
So with this delay, I'm not going to lie. I think it's a good and terrible move. I think it's good to delay it because it definitely needed polish. I don't like the time that they picked.
No, because it's
the same day as Avowed and Like a Pirate, the Yakuza game, and then a week later is Monster Hunter Wilds. Like, are you serious?
That's a tough game. Like I would stay out of the month of February.
Yeah, I mean I would have stayed out of first quarter. I would have gone to quarter 2.
Yeah.
Because like I'm gonna be real. I think they would have done better if they sold it in May, like end of April, mid-May, because then you'd have the summer to play this gigantic open world RPG.
Yeah, because it's not going to be a small game.
No. So, excited to see what they're going to do with it, like what the delay will help them polish.
Yeah.
Because I'm not I'm a Ubisoft enjoyer to a degree. I think they make 7s. But I'm okay with 7s sometimes, like as long as the setting and stuff is fun and it's not too janky. But what I saw from Shadows, I was like, that is a little too janky for me to play.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that they're taking the time to polish it because I do want to play it. I like Japan.
Yeah.
I've always wanted Assassin's Creed to be there.
What were some of the janky things you saw in the game?
Dude,
I haven't been following it.
The combat just it has a lot of those things where like characters slide and are like disappearing into each other, or the moves aren't hitting like right. It just looks really unpolished in the gameplay.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, and especially like Yasuke, because Yasuke looks like the playstyle I'm going to play because I'm not really sneaky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though I think Naoe looks really cool and I like her movement abilities.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be the samurai.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be Yasuke. I'm going to tackle stuff. But what I saw of Yasuke's gameplay, I was pretty underwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I've been like pretty not into it, is because I'm just like, that needs to be better for me to want to play that.
Yeah.
So hoping that changes that. On to news item 2. This one, it's a lot, but essentially a lot of big games hit giant sales milestones recently.
Yep.
Yeah, the Silent Hill 2 remake, actually within 4 days, sold 1 million copies. For context, the original sold 1 million after a month.
Oh, wow.
So this is doing that. This is the fastest selling Silent Hill game in history. So very, very happy to Konami and Bloober.
Do you think this kind of reception will revitalize the franchise?
I think so. I think it's going to help Silent Hill F, which is the new one that got announced with this remake.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to what that'll look like. Also, Bloober has just recently come out and said that they are like very open to doing more remakes or making a completely new Silent Hill game.
Oh, wow. What other remakes has Bloober done?
Bloober has not done a remake before. This is their first remake.
Okay.
They did amazing.
What have they made before?
The Medium, The Observer, and I'm not sure of the other games.
Okay.
But they've had a pretty shaky like history. They've never made terrible games, to be completely honest with you. They're just usually in the 6 to 7 range. And a lot of their writing, one of the reasons people were pretty like worried about them doing Silent Hill 2 was because the Medium didn't do well with a lot of the like heavy themes, that because it tried to do what Silent Hill 2 did with like assault, suicide, and like those heavy topics, but it did it extremely bad. People were like legit offended at how poorly it was done. So that's why there was a lot of hate towards the Silent Hill 2 remake, knowing that they were behind it, because it was like, hey, you guys have a history of messing this up.
Yeah.
But the fact that they actually nailed this remake, I'm willing to be like, hey, they learned their lesson. I'm not going to give them like 100% confidence. Yeah, the next thing they're going to make is going to be going to be just as good. But I have more confidence in them, and I'm willing to give them a chance after what they've done with Silent Hill 2. But I would actually really like to see them remake Silent Hill 1 or 3.
Yeah.
Just because what I've heard, like watched about those games, seems really cool, and they could, with how well they did Silent Hill 2, I think they could really make those games shine.
Okay. Okay.
The other big news story is Dragon Ball Sparking Zero sold 3 million in 24 hours. That's absurd. Yeah, like almost every other game on here, like Silent Hill 2 it's a big deal. It sold 1 million. Dragon Ball did it 3.
Question: How much did Kakarot sell when it first came out?
I actually don't know, but I think it was only a little over 1 million.
Yeah,
but it did well.
Okay.
But Sparking Zero is like the fastest selling of a Dragon Ball game, because Fighters didn't do this well either. I think it sold only 1 million, 1.2, I think.
So people were really, really do miss that Budokai Tenkaichi type gameplay.
I'm a little mixed on that. I do wonder, Toriyama, this is the first Dragon Ball game since Toriyama's passing. I also do think that like people did miss the Budokai Tenkaichi. And it has been 17 years since the last one. So there was a lot of hype around it, coming back after so long. So, I think that's one of I think those are two major reasons why it's selling so well. Because I'm going to be real, I'm not one of those sales. I bought it and I refunded it because I don't know how people enjoy that. And I'm a I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan. I just cannot stand that game.
Yeah.
But I played Budokai, which
Yeah.
was more like Tekken.
Yeah.
So playing that like over the shoulder kind of janky, like darting around, it just doesn't do it for me.
No, me neither. I watched some tournament gameplay of that, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's one I'm going to think of fondly in the past. The only way they can get me to play that game is if Beast Gohan shows up.
Oh, he will.
Yeah, well,
they're going to do. Someone already data mined Granola, so that makes me want to buy it again, even though I refunded it.
Yeah,
just to see the manga characters. Like if they put Moro and all those characters in, I'll be so happy.
Yeah.
Anywho, they'll keep getting more money if they keep attacking our nostalgia like that. Love it. The other sales updates was Resident Evil 4 Remake, which also I've been playing recently, hit 8 million on its sales. So it did another million after a year. Games usually don't have like that long of legs to keep
It's a
selling.
game that just keeps on selling.
Mm-hmm. So it's pretty sick. And then the last one was another new release, Metaphor Refantasio, sold 1 million in its opening week.
Nice. I'm really happy for them.
That's the fastest selling Atlas game to hit 1 million.
I want to buy that game so bad. If Dragon Age wasn't coming out soon, I would buy it because I want to play both of them, and I would hate to spend the money on Metaphor now and then down the road I'd go ahead and try out Dragon Age, and then I want to play a bunch of Dragon Age and I forget about it, So
yeah, that's why I'm hoping my brother gets it so we can just share it on PlayStation. Because I saw that's $70, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do that and a $70 Dragon Age in the same week.
Yeah, no, I got to buy that. I'm gonna buy that on PC for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the sales update. So congratulations to those games. And then our final bit of news. This is a pretty big deal for Halo fans. 343 is no more. They are now becoming Halo Studios, which I feel weird on because I'm just like, so it's still the same team. You just changed your name.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hope you guys learned your lessons and make a more fun Halo. But one of the things that they did do, besides just doing a name change, is they're doing an engine change. They had the Slipstream or Slipspace engine is what they built for Halo Infinite. But they're now abandoning that and just going completely to Unreal 5. Mm-hmm. They did a demo showing like old classic Halo maps with the Unreal Engine 5, and it looks stunning. Actually stunning. The problem for me, though, is that I'm like, I know that's going to stutter like hell on my PC because it's Unreal Engine. Mm-hmm. And the other thing, too, is that they said that the remake that they're doing is just tests. They're not making a remake game. So, a little disappointed by that. I think, though, with that kind of news, we're probably not going to see anything from Halo Studios for like another 5 years.
Yeah, it's going to be a while.
Which, yeah, it's just another one of, in my opinion, Microsoft's colossal fumbles. Yeah. I can't imagine Nintendo not releasing a Zelda game for 15 years. Mm-hmm. Like, that's just ridiculous to me. So... I'll be an old grandpa by the time the next Halo comes out. So, but yeah, that'll do it for the news. Sorry to end it on a sour note.
Right. We'll keep Halo in our hearts. Hopefully, they'll figure something out because it always sucks to see a franchise that you grew up with so downward headed. I guess I can't say the right word, but
it's just been watching them tumble
on a
down
decline. Yeah, on a decline. I really do want them to succeed because I still have a lot of fond memories of playing Halo 1 and 2, even 3. So my hope is that they can get it together.
Yeah, same here. I love Halo. But
okay, well, on to more exciting, not exciting, but fun news.
Yeah.
We got my variety game today. So this is a game that we have played before, but with a twist. It's going to be Lay Mary Slay Haunting Edition. Now, Lay Mary Slay. Now it's changed up a little bit. So I've got 10 different groupings here, right? And I'm going to give you the first two, and you get to choose to slay or lay the first two. And then you have to marry the third one, but you don't know until you've chosen your first two.
Okay. Wow.
Okay? Now these are in no particular order, okay? So, starting off, Freddy Fazbear and Big Daddy. You know both of those characters, right? Freddy Fazbear from Five Nights at
Freddy's,
yeah,
and Big Daddy from BioShock.
Yes.
And so I have to pick a lay or slay?
Yeah. And you got to marry the third one you don't know.
Ugh, I would have married Big Daddy, to be honest, because at least he's protective.
Okay, well, here we'll change it then. You can choose of the 3 options. You can lay, marry, or slay the 2 of them, and then you have to do the third on the final one.
Okay, I'd marry Big Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
I'd slay.
Because he'll take good care of you.
I'll slay Freddy.
Okay.
Who am I laying?
The Butcher from Diablo 4.
Oof.
You remember this? You remember
yeah,
the Butcher?
Oh, I remember him. That's going to be an interesting lay. I wonder who's going to lay who. Probably the Butcher's going to lay me.
Yeah. All right, I got another one for you. The creep from Minecraft. So
okay.
Creeper. Boo from Mario.
I'm going to lay Boo.
You're gonna lay Boo? Yeah.
And then I'm gonna slay Creep. Who am I marrying?
That means you got to marry a Ghost from Pac-Man.
Hey, what's up, Binky?
Yeah. What are all their names, by the way? Do you know all of them?
No, I think it's Binky, Blinky, and I don't know the other
Stinky.
2.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but it looks like one's gonna be your wife or husband. All right. Here's another one: Melina from Mortal Kombat, or Lisa Trevor from Resident Evil.
Elisa Trevor?
Yeah, Lisa Trevor from Resident Evil.
She's from 7, the one
Yeah.
I didn't play.
Yeah. Okay.
Gotcha. All right. Probably slay Melina, because, yeah, that mouth's going to kill me.
Yeah.
I'll lay Lisa Trevor.
Okay.
Who am I marrying?
Lisa from PT.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's actually terrifying. Because you never know when she's right behind you and just kills you.
Yeah, so that's your wife now.
Sick.
All right. Here's Mother Brain from Metroid. The Xenomorph from
The alien.
the Alien video game. Well, the movies, but video game.
Probably marry the Xenomorph in the hopes that it won't kill me.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to slay Mother Brain because I've done it like 4 times now in Metroid. Who am I laying?
The Witch from Left 4 Dead.
Hey, it's probably the best out of those 3.
That's the best option you got. You're going to startle her and she'll ravage you.
Sounds good.
All right. Here's a fun one for you. Mr. X and Slenderman.
Mr. X, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
That bastard haunts me in Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
Oh, Slenderman. I don't know much about Slenderman other than like he looks gross and is very slender.
Yeah, back when I first started getting into like YouTube or whatnot, one of the games I wanted to play was the Slenderman game because it was all the rave.
I remember hearing that was a trend.
Yeah, and Slenderman is scary.
Okay. Well, probably want to marry Mr. X.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, hey, no one's better at security detail. Probably slay Slender Man. Just because I don't know him.
Yeah, you want to know who you're laying?
Yeah, who am I laying?
Pyramid Head.
Hey, I actually just dealt with Pyramid Head. You know what? I'll wear the Pyramid Head.
That'll be a fun night. All right, here's one that you might like: Lady Dimitrescu or Lilith from Diablo.
Oh man, the difficulty is picking marry or lay with Lady D. She's so. I'd probably marry Lady D because then I get her all the time. And I'll probably lay Lilith.
Yeah.
She can be attractive sometimes. Who am I slaying?
Yeah, but like if you scorn Lilith, she's gonna screw you up. So it looks like you're you said marrying Millennia from Elden Ring.
So I said slay.
Oh, slaying. My bad.
So I'm slaying Millennia.
Yeah, Millennia. But
that's good because now I'm not getting the rot.
Yeah, everybody's been slaying Millennia. All right. So I hope you know this guy or this one. So the Wendigo from Until Dawn.
Yep.
Okay. good.
I love Until Dawn.
And then the Regenerator from Resident Evil 4.
I literally just fought that before we came to this podcast.
Yo,
I hate those
the
motherfuckers.
Regenerators, man.
I'm just on principle because I hate them. Slay
the Regenerator?
Regenerators.
Okay, good.
The Wendigo? Good Lord.
Yeah.
I guess I'll have a one-night stand with that thing.
Okay, so you got to marry a Silent Hill nurse.
Hey, I love being I love that. I'm married to a nurse. That's the embodiment of me getting bricked up off my dead wife's nursing staff.
All right. Here's one for you. Albert Wesker and Dracula from Castlevania.
Oh, I'm marrying Dracula.
Yeah.
I could listen to that man talk all day. What is a man but a pile of flesh with secrets?
Have at thee.
Have at thee. I'm definitely going to slay Albert Wesker because I'm going to put him in a volcano and shoot 2 rockets at him.
So that means you have to lay Orphan of Kos.
Oh, God. That just feels wrong, but sure. Ooh.
Yeah.
He was just born.
Well, you made the choice. All right, here's a pretty simple one. A zombie and a necromorph from Dead Space.
I guess I'd rather lay the zombie.
Yeah.
Because the necromorph is like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
The necromorph is a mixture of a bunch of people, where it's like a zombie, I'm like, how long have you been decomposing? I could probably get away, some protection. Yeah, slay the necromorph. Who am I marrying?
A clicker from Left 4 Dead.
You mean Last of Us?
Or Last of Us, I'm sorry. Yeah, clicker.
Oh, man.
So you're just going to have that in your ear all the time.
Hey, at least if I'm good at crouching and walking,
yeah.
I can, we have an argument. I'm going to throw a bottle on the other side of the room, and I'm darting out of the house.
You're gonna sneak away to have a day with the boys.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This one is the Flood from Halo.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just, you got to take them all of them. The Flood or the Swarm from Gears of War.
Shit.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll marry the Flood.
Yeah.
Let's all become one with the grave mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to come out unscathed, but I guess I'm laying the Swarm.
That's a choice. That means you got to marry the Terminids from 40K. Sorry, go ahead.
I have to slay
the Terminids from 40K.
Hey, that's fine. They're like bugs. I'm good.
All right. And I think that's all the ones I have for you.
Well, what a life. What a life I would lead if I did all those.
But yeah, that's our Lay Mary Slay Haunting Edition. We're going to take a break, and afterwards we have impressions on Silent Hill, Throne and Liberty, and today Jason brings a game.
Nice. And welcome back. Hope you had a lovely break, as we did. But we're going to get right into it with impressions. And the first game we have on the docket is Silent Hill 2, the remake by Bluebird Team, published by Konami. Just to give a brief overview of what Silent Hill 2 is, it is a survival horror game that follows the character James Sunderland as he gets a strange letter from his wife, who was dead 3 years ago, that beckons him to the town of Silent Hill. And that's the story. Well, that's the setting you have, is that you start the game right as you have approached Silent Hill. Mm-hmm. So, impressions. I actually did beat this game. It took me 16 hours and 55 minutes was the runtime that it told me that I finished. Mm-hmm. I opened my map 500 times, and I saved like 400 times.
Oh, damn.
It kept track of everything. I think the thing that startled me the most was that I used, I attacked over 1,000 times, with the melee attacks. Melee was my like dominant weapon, despite having a bunch of like guns. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I was so scared to use ammo that makes sense that I just punched everything or beat it up with a pipe. But yeah, so a pretty decently long game, especially for survival horror. Survival horror games usually only run between 5 to 10 hours, usually at max. But this game kind of joins the Alan Wake 2 area where it's more in the, closer to 20. Or in Alan Wake 2's case, like 30. So a little bit long in the tooth. Just to give like overall thoughts, just like from Whatcha Playin, I do think this game is like an actual masterpiece. One of the best stories told in video games. And I like think it actually like stands on its own, not just as a video game story, but as an actual story. It makes me question why it was never like ever brought to film or anything like this one specifically, because the story just seems like really well written. And James is a character that is just like really easy to empathize with, and like his story's just interesting. He's also a good character. You'll feel conflicted when you like learn more about him and like why he's being haunted in Silent Hill. But the thing is like that's what makes him so complicated, is that he has done something wrong, like very wrong. But he's someone who's punishing himself for it. So he's not, it's one of those weird things where he's someone who's done something wrong, but he feels extremely guilty about it. So, he's not like a malicious person. And finding out like what led him to that, allows you to like, I don't know, it really hooked me. And I came away just being like, damn, that was a really well done story arc, and character development. Now, when it comes to the game itself, because I have praised the story, I will say impressions-wise on gameplay, it's good, but it's not amazing in that regard. The combat is very simplistic. Like, you only have like a dodge and a melee attack, and then you can shoot. It is way better than the original. Yeah. But my only critique with the combat being simplistic is that because the game runs for so long, it is a little tiring by the end. Which is why I haven't jumped into New Games Plus, even though there is like cool bonuses and stuff. I haven't jumped into it just because like once I, spent almost 17 hours on it, I was just like, hey, I'm going to need a break before I swing that plank again.
Because you're going to be doing the same thing pretty much.
Yeah. They do mix it up because it is like story-based when you get your weapons, like your guns. The guns help out a lot because they really overhauled combat in the sense that it works a lot like Resident Evil 4, but without like roundhouse kicks. If you shoot an enemy in the leg enough, they'll get downed. And if they get downed and you follow up with a melee attack, you're going to auto put them on the ground, which means that you can just start stomping the shit out of them. And I will say that even though it's simplistic, the reason why I didn't like hate it by the end, even though it like got boring probably about 4 hours before the game ended, is that the voice acting and the camera work for combat is very good.
Oh, really?
James' voice actor is phenomenal. If you watch the Joker movie, he was Thomas Wayne, Batman's dad.
Oh, let me see who that is.
And he, at least that's what I read online. I hope that's correct. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But yeah, he did a phenomenal job. The way that his voice cracks when you're like stomping, like repeatedly, is just, it's visceral. Like you feel his like pent up anger, like frustration and scaredness from those encounters. Also the way that he, just to continue shouting out the story, the way that he did all the scenes, he was never cringy. Everything was like just very, very well done. One of my favorite performances in games in recent memory. Like he might be the only person who's come up there with a Troy Baker for me as someone where I'm just like, I'm invested in every word you say.
Were there any, was there anybody from the original game that they brought back, or is it a whole new cast?
I believe it's a whole new cast just because it's been 23 years.
Yeah. I guess you can't really keep using them.
Yeah. And also all the characters got little bits of redesign because they're all based on the actors that play them.
Mm-hmm. So you are right. It is the guy who was Thomas Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been in a couple games, like Outcast.
Oh, so he likes survival horror.
Yeah. Silent Hill. Yeah. So he's done a little bit of voice acting.
That's awesome. I hope he continues because
Luke Roberts.
Yeah, and he took a picture with like the mural of it, him and the Maria actress, and it's just so wholesome. I love that shit. Love that he's proud of the role.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see that too often. You usually only get it with like Ben Starr or like Troy Baker.
Yeah, normally people who are strictly in video game voice acting, not those who move a little bit outside of it. So,
yeah.
So like what is it, like Haley Joel Osment as Sora? I didn't even know for the longest time until I looked it up.
Or wasn't it Mandy Moore was Kyrie in the first game?
Mandy Moore?
Yeah.
I thought it was Hayden Panettiere.
You're right. It's Hayden, not Mandy. She was in it, but I can't remember what character she did. I just remember looking at the credits when I was a teenager when someone pointed it out, and I was like, there's so many people here. They're famous. Oh my God.
Yeah, they got a good cast for that. But yeah, it is always exciting when it's always cool when the voice actors are as proud of the project or super proud of the project, because it makes you can feel it when you're playing the game, and then seeing it outside of the game, you're just like, yeah, this is the kind of thing that I would love to see every time somebody voice acts. This is what inspired me to want to be a voice actor when I was younger. Didn't go through with it. But it was something I wanted to do because I saw the love that like Troy Baker had for his characters.
Yeah. And the people, I feel like everyone who was a character in Silent Hill 2 just did a phenomenal job. Every single person, Eddie, Laura, Maria, James, they all were perfect. Which, to keep it on gameplay before I go back into sound, because I'm kind of all over the place with this. But I did want to state that, like, while combat was like it was just okay. I don't think it's bad at all. It's not bad. It's just not great. It's just good. It's serviceable. The part that was really great was the puzzles.
Really?
I really loved solving the puzzles in the game. Every area felt very labyrinthine, and the way that you would unlock places, it was just like it wasn't too hard. I felt like there was this perfect balance of, hey, stop and think. It's not mindless where you just like, I just pressed the 3, 2, 1. All right, let me move forward. It was like, hey, no, pay attention to your environment, but we've left very clear clues, so you'll be able to answer this if you just take a second to take a look around. And I loved that. I think those are my favorite types of puzzles. I don't like it when I'm stuck for 2 hours on them.
Or have to look them up.
I never had to look anything up in Silent Hill 2 Remake.
Nice.
So that to me is very good.
Did you ever have to do puzzles while like trying to run for your life?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's normally when you can get, like, if I'm trying to run for my life and it tells me like, okay, the only way to get out of this situation is you got to find this key, but this key is going to be locked behind this puzzle or something like that, and you got to read that note to know that number. I'm like, that's cool. Putting the game down, that's too much stress.
I will give them credit. They don't do that.
Okay.
Whenever a puzzle is centered around like having to escape, it's more about like, hey, make sure you're looking at the environment, what you need to do to escape. So I think that they did a very good job. I don't think that you would be upset at any of the puzzles. They're very
good.
They're just like, they make sense. Why a lot of stuff. And sometimes you can solve the puzzle by just paying attention before like a chase sequence happens. Like, cause you'll hear shit in the background. The audio presentation on this game is phenomenal. So you'll have a feeling shit's about to go down. But you'll also see that, like, oh, hey, that path's blocked. Oh, hey, that's a movable dresser. Maybe I should move that before I go into the room that has a lot of loud knocking and scraping going on. And when you do, and then you're running away from something, you're like, oh, hey, I can just get out of here, like sidle through like a broken wall to help you escape faster, because you're just like, yeah, I paid attention. I think the game really, really wants you to look at every detail. and for good reason. It's gorgeous, in a disturbing manner, but it is very, very detailed. The game's like presentation, both audio and visually, is outstanding. I've never seen better ray tracing.
Really?
Never. The way that like the world reflects in the puddles on PC, especially, insane. It looks like fully 4K. Like you can see the little leaf details of like a tree that's reflected in a puddle. Blew my mind. Also blew my processor because that game stuttered like crazy on PC. So that is one like downside of the technical side. But I will say, if you're playing on PlayStation, there is no stutter. But you also don't get 4K ray tracing. So a little give and take. I have heard that like performance is very good on PS5 though. Like if you play in the 60 FPS. So for people who want to play it that way without stutter, go for it. I overcame the stutter because having 120 FPS with that gorgeous ray tracing was worth it for me. But other than that, I think if I had to give like any criticisms on the like gameplay other than like the combat not being like in depth enough, I will say the pacing's a little rough at the end. Just because like while I enjoyed the puzzles, there was a point at the like 80% mark. There's the like last section you have to do, which is like the last like big area.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a little too much. I was worn out by that point. So I think if they were to like remake another Silent Hill game, I hope that they would restrain themselves a little bit on making it way more expanded. Because the original game's only 8 hours.
Oh, wow.
So this is over double the size.
What's some of the stuff that they added?
Every area is just much, much bigger. Like there's more rooms to explore. There is new sections. Like the entire beginning of the game I found out is new. The walk to Silent Hill. Because you're not in Silent Hill at the very beginning. You're outside it.
Yeah.
And in the original game, it was pretty much just like a screen. And then you went to the town and it like guided you to your next spots. And then in this game, like you have a huge like forest trail you go down. And you actually get to explore the city. Which you didn't in the original. So for the first like 4 hours, you're in the city just like trying to like solve this like broken vinyl record. And it's having you go from like place to place to like try and figure that out.
Interesting.
So they've added like segments like that. I'm not exactly sure because again, I didn't play the original and I'm not like a master scholar on it. But those are some of the things I've read from other people that are huge fans that thought were like good additions and where they like added it. But I do know that almost every area, because there's the Woodside Apartments is like a major level, the Brookhaven Hospital, and then like the hotel. All of those have like way more floors and rooms than the original, which is cool.
Yeah, and with those extra areas that they've added in the game, do you feel like exploring them was rewarding, or was it?
Yeah, I do. I just think that I think with the story, with how it was paced, I think some areas just went on too long. They were like that. That's like the weirdest part about critiquing it is just like it was good. The content that's there is good. It's just that for a story, you want it to go faster with especially the themes that they're like how they're like giving it to you. You'll sometimes just be stuck for so long that you're just like, I want to know what happens next, but I have to go and solve 3 floors of puzzles.
Yeah.
And even though the puzzles are good and the floors are detailed and you're getting enough ammo and health and like you're getting rewarded for checking everything, you're still at the end of the day like, man, I wish I got the next cutscene an hour earlier.
Yeah. Dang. Too much a good thing.
Yeah. So it was a little too much. So I would just hope that's my only like critique on the like exploration is just have a little more restraint if you're telling a tight story like that.
Yeah.
But it was pretty minor in comparison. The only thing I think it hurts is replayability. I'm just not as engaged to press start again on the new game after knowing it's going to be a 17-hour journey. But yeah, other than that, one more thing I'd like to give a huge shout out: the music music's incredible.
Yeah.
Haunting motifs and very good melodies. Characters have themes, and it's hard to describe, but like the way the music works and the way that like the sound design and like the visuals work, the game feels very dreamlike. Like half the time you don't know if like what you're dealing with is real. Or if the person that James is talking to is real. It's
really?
It's very cool how they give this vibe of like of like a dream, of a nightmare essentially. Especially when you go to the nightmare realm, because there's like 2 realms in Silent Hill: the regular realm and the nightmare realm. The nightmare realm's gross,
Yeah.
and it is dark as hell. Oh, and yeah, last thoughts. If you're looking for a Halloween game, there's nothing better. This game will scare the shit out of you.
Yeah.
What
would you put the scare factor on, like a 1 to 10?
I give it a 9.
Really?
I think PT is the only game I've ever played that's scarier than this.
Really?
Yeah, there's just some tricks they do to you, man. And like the game doesn't rely on jump scares, which is just like such a testament to how good its horror is that you're just unsettled all the time.
Oh,
like,
no, that's not a game I can play.
The game just has you on edge a lot of times. Anytime that it's too quiet, you're like, oh no, I don't like this. And then like the few times that they do quote unquote jump scare you, you're at the height of tension already. So it's not like it's random, but it's that extra cherry on top that, like, say you're holding it together, you're holding the shaky bookcase.
Yeah.
That one last thing they do to you is what makes it fall on you.
Yeah.
There, like specifically, there was one scene in when I was going through a room, and it was quiet and eerie. I could hear like the monsters in other rooms. So I'm just like, I'm unnerved, just trying to find some ammo and health. And I go into a corner of this room, and this demonic voice just starts saying something like really creepy, really deep, and just like directly into your ear. I don't know what it said, but it fucking terrified me.
No.
Like, I dropped the controller at that point. Luckily, I'm playing at my desk on my PC, so it didn't fall to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
But I literally was like, I was like, that is too much.
Yeah, no, I don't like that at all.
But yeah, I will say this: Silent Hill 2 definitely spoke my language. I highly recommend it to survival horror fans.
Nice.
But yeah, let's move on to the next game. I'll be here all day with Silent Hill 2. Throne of Liberty, bro.
Yeah. So how did you feel about Throne of Liberty? Like overall, what was like your journey from first starting it to when you currently like put it on pause?
The journey's been really great, actually, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think I've been very immersed because one, the character creator is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. I love my character. That's my favorite MMO character I've made. Mm-hmm. I've talked to our friend of the show, Matt. Good shout out to him about like that. I think it is my favorite character creator I've ever seen in an MMO.
Yeah.
And in fairness, I have a bias towards human characters, and I realize there's no other races. They really went ham on the humans, so very well, very good job there. I also am quite a big fan of the combat. I know a lot of people, including yourself and me, we both feel it's a little janky.
Yeah.
I don't find it to be like terribly janky. I find it enjoyable, and I think that especially the parry mechanic.
Yep.
The pressing the Q to block and unlock a new move. It's very sick. I also really like augmenting my abilities. It makes me feel really in control of my character's build craft. I think the parts that have stopped me from grinding, if I'm being completely honest, it's mostly that most of our friends aren't playing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
playing MMOs by yourself just isn't fun.
Yeah, it depends on the MMO because there's certain times, like I don't like playing an MMO completely by myself, but there are certain times where I get in like a grind session where nobody's online and I can get all the activities that I want to get done finished, and I like grinding at those points. And I don't mind it in Throne of Liberty because I've done some grinding by myself in that game, but I understand long stretches of playing an MMO by yourself, not fun. For those who haven't played it, it's got your typical like RPG or MMO fixins. You know, you've got your character creator, you've got a loose story that you follow that's, well, albeit not entirely engaging. It's far more cinematic than I'm used to experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like remember the names of any of the characters, but at least whenever a cutscene happens, I'm engaged. I think that it does have great music.
Yes.
I've been surprised by the music. There's this opening scene after you get through the tutorial of the game where it has your character just sort of being introduced to a lot of what the game has to offer. And I thought to myself, like, the music was great, had a great title screen, and then you're just right there in the mix with everybody. I agree with you on the character creator. I think the character creator is pretty, how do I say it? While I would appreciate more races, I do like what they did with the humans, and I think the characters look really cool. I mean, I like that they get down to the point of having the lower part of your beard and the like lengthy part of your beard. You can customize both parts to make your own custom beard. What stands out to me the most in the game and what I've enjoyed is the combat and the augmentation of the skills. It's very arcade-esque, so to speak. So I like that that you have multiple weapons you can choose from. I think you can choose pretty much any weapon, and that weapon determines your class.
Yeah, there's no classes.
Yeah.
Everything's based on your weapon choices.
Yeah. And so you could be a healer and use a bow if you combined it with another weapon that has a lot of healing skills on it. While some weapons might not have healing skills until you unlock them at a certain point within the leveling up. But I do like the freedom to mix and match the weapons together. I do wish there was a couple more weapon types because I see too many of the same builds currently, and that takes away from character identity. But overall, I do enjoy what their foundation is. I was to kind of take you on my journey. I was hopeful when we played the beta, scared after I saw what people stated from what they felt about the beta, and then relieved once I saw how people felt about the game after it fully released. Because it seems like the MMO that's been surprising people, and a lot more people enjoy it than they thought they would. Have you been seeing that online?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It also is reflected in the player counts.
Yeah.
It's been averaging over 200K daily. So
yeah. No, it's got a good following. I think that it also isn't too pay to win. You can pay to progress.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like something that I haven't been enticed to pay at all.
Yeah.
So another thing that surprised me was the amount of clothing options you had from the beginning. So normally when you play an MMO, the only way that you really get gear is you kill mobs. Mobs drop gear. You put on the gear if it's better. Sometimes it'll look, depending on the region of where the MMO is from, will determine how good this dropped gear is going to look. Because a lot of the Korean MMOs I play, the dropped gear looks ass because they want you to use the shop. But in the American MMOs I play, there's a lot of fun dropped gear. Like, it looks cool, but the style of American MMOs don't always look as good as Korean MMOs.
Yeah.
So it just kind of depends on what you enjoy. But in this game, I do like that you've got crafter that you can go to build capes, hoods, legs, or boots, not pants. Can you build pants?
Yeah, you can build pants.
Boots,
Pants are separate.
Yeah, boots, pants, gloves. There's a lot of different pieces that you can build and put together to look to have your own custom look, which I like.
Wait, actually, I might be wrong. I don't think there's boots. I think it's just pants.
Just pants? Okay.
Yeah,
legs, torso, arms, hood, cape, but a lot of different things to put together to have your build, to have your kind of your look. And I haven't been enticed to go shop even the stuff in the shop doesn't look as good as the stuff that's in the game.
That's the it's not a problem to me because I'm happy that I'm not enticed to spend real world money. But I'm always like, man, if I wanted to give you guys money, I don't know where I would.
The battle pass. That's about it.
That's true. The battle pass.
But yeah, it's an overall good game. Another thing that kind of stands out to me is there's a lot of public events that happen in this game, and in the sense where, so most games you have, whenever you're in an area, a public event happens. Yeah, you go and you do that public event. When you're playing this game, Throne and Liberty, there's a whole schedule that you can follow. The schedule tells you at what time the whale is going to come. And there's a giant whale that flies around the map. And if you're there when he shows up, you jump on his back, you can mine some materials. But most importantly, he might fly you to certain areas that you didn't have access to. Over all the enemies, you can just jump off, grab the teleporter, head back to what you're doing. Now you've got some place you can go to. But they've got all these like cool events that are on a schedule, so you have to pay attention to that. Go show up when everybody else is there, do the event, get the rewards. And I just like the moment-to-moment experience that exists in the overworld. I don't really like playing an MMO where the overworld is boring.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's definitely two of my favorite points of Throne and Liberty is the fact that overworld doesn't feel cruddy. I love that you can level up just fighting people. That is something you can't even do in Final Fantasy 14. So it's like really refreshing to like play a classic style RPG where it's like, hey, actually go out and fight monsters and you'll level up. Crazy, right? I'm shocked at how many games don't have that just basic level of progression. So I really love that it's in here. The other thing is the MMO feel. I haven't played a MMO that has felt, and I will say this is probably because I'm hopping brand new, like hopping in it when it first came out. But this game feels alive, dude. Like every time we're out in the world, there's hundreds of players. Like they're always there. I never feel empty. And, you know, that's not something I can even say about Guild Wars, even though I like Guild Wars more. Half the time it's like there's only like 4 people most that are joining us. And I'm like, oh, it's probably because I'm not in the expansion. And it's like Throne and Liberty, it's like when you first go to town, your frame rate's going to die because there's literally hundreds of people in town. But then you're like, well, I'll leave town and there will probably be nobody. No, hundreds of players just out there smacking shit out in the wheat fields. And you're like, this is awesome. I love to see it.
With the frame rate dipping, right, in the performance, how has the performance been for you overall with the game?
Well, it was bad on the first night in that area only.
Yeah.
But then they patched it and made frame generation work. As soon as I've had frame generation, drop frames hasn't meant I've had no issues whatsoever.
Yeah. As soon as they dropped the frame generation, it has made the performance overall a lot better because I was struggling inside of town and even having issues outside of town. And while I was still enjoying the game, I was a little let down because I was afraid that it was going to be a game that was stuttery most of the time. So
I will say, though, I do feel bad for some of our friends. Like, apparently, you know, frame gen doesn't work for them, and they just get, you know, just ass blasted by by bad frames. So I will just give a warning. It is a very pretty game, but that does come with a price. Yeah. So, but it looks really good on console. I watched Alex play it.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, all right, I can recommend this on console because the performance is good.
Yeah. As it goes, it's a great free-to-play option to have on console. Why not just download it to have it on your system so that you have a game to play that looks good? A lot of people are playing. The combat's not bad. The dungeon was pretty fun. And yeah, it just seems alive. So I would definitely recommend it currently. I know that New World Eternum just came out, which is another MMO that might grasp some people's attention, but that one's got a $60 price tag to it right now.
Yeah, it's either 40 or 60.
Yeah, so
I'd have to double check, but
so yeah, play some Throne of Liberty.
Yeah, no, it's great. But yeah, that's about all we have for impressions.
Yes, now we're going to be moving on to the game you brought. So today you're technically our guest.
Yay. Feels odd to be a co-host and a guest.
Yeah, it does. It does, doesn't it? Now you get to figure it out. But go ahead and tell us what game it is you're bringing in to talk about today.
Well, if we had to talk about game language defining games, for me, it's The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
That is a great choice. A game that I've never actually played. I've only watched.
That's an absolute shame.
I know. And it's like I can't go back and play it because I don't have the nostalgia for it. But we will go over the traditional guest questions just to give the people an update on, maybe you have some things that have changed in your opinions. So first and foremost, how often do you game?
Daily.
Yeah.
I mean, I play every day. I think like one time last week was the first time I didn't play a game once during the day.
Yeah. Does it ever feel unfulfilling if you don't play a game for a day? Or do you feel like you play them enough that if you don't play them for a day, it doesn't matter?
I was going to say, I think it's more the latter option.
Yeah.
I play games enough that like it honestly wouldn't be a bad idea for me to take a break.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's not something, I'm not so addicted that I like my day feels ruined if I haven't played them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that like, yeah, if I'm going to sit at home, I'm not really a TV guy or movie watcher. I have like my shows, but I watch maybe an hour of TV a week.
Mm-hmm.
I just think video games are a better use of my entertainment time. I feel so.
Yeah, no, I understand. I do a lot of watching TV or hanging out with Alex and whatnot. So if I don't play a game, I normally feel like, dang man, like my brain is itching for some type of activity. So I like to play at least a game once a day in some capacity, whether it be on my phone or it be like the Switch or something.
Mm-hmm.
I need to like challenge my brain a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at with it, is like I do like the challenge. But you know, on a day that I don't game, it's probably because I'm doing something. And if I'm doing something, then my brain's working. But yeah, I it's hard for me to just like veg out and just sit there for too prolonged a period. Like the Lord of the Rings extended movies is probably the longest I can sit without like an input.
Yeah. All right. Second question. What game genre stands out to you the most? Is that still the same?
Yeah, I'd probably say it's still action games.
Mm-hmm.
I think whenever I play a video game, the number one thing I look for is game feel, but mostly like action feel. Because it doesn't have to be combat. But like if you're going to be a platformer, running, jumping, and like doing tricks, like, you know, wall jumps or whatever, it's got to feel good, or else I'm not going to enjoy it. Same thing with combat. I will say I am way more harsh on combat-focused games. If you're a combat-focused game and you have one button for attack, you're garbage to me. I don't want to play it. Like, I just hate it. And that's just garbage to me, because I know people can love those games. I can't stand it. That's too simplistic for me. I think genres that stand out the most are ones that require like a bit more depth, like Devil May Cry, Resident Evil. Like I love games that like fuse multiple things of action. I really think more gung fu games need to come out. Gun fu
games. What are some game mechanics you enjoy or wish were better represented?
Combos.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
I think combos, because I think they're very well represented in fighting games, but terribly represented in action games. Like whenever a game goes, we've got combos, press light attack 3 times. Brother, like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like So I really do wish games would get a little bit better at like making more complex combos, or just making them more engaging to do. Because there's like it's hard to describe how fun it is to like have a string of your actions lead to something way cooler. And like that's the concept of a combo. Like just using Resident Evil 4 as an example, since I was playing it this morning. There's nothing cooler than like having a bunch of enemies, shooting one in the head, roundhouse kicking it, having another guy try and come up to you, dodging his attack, parrying it, kicking him into a wall, and then pressing like a knife follow-up that leads to like an execution. Those combos, even though they're like only 3 action combos, they're way better than just pressing R1, 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 or square, square, square. Like there's just a much more like better feedback for me. So I wish that was better represented in other games, because like, you know, games that do it well, like Devil May Cry, you know, and Bayonetta is another one I've been playing recently that's extremely fun with that.
Don't forget Hi-Fi Rush.
But yeah, that's another game that actually used multiple attacks.
Yeah.
The way that it added like, the assist of your buddies to make your combos like finish with cool finishers.
Yeah.
That's why I adore that game, and I can't wait for the second one. So yeah, I guess they're working on it, but I wish that more than 3 games would do that.
I agree. I think that games need more combos.
Yeah.
So, final question. Which video game character best represents you?
Best represents me.
Yes.
Oof. That's different than your favorite video game character.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough. Who does represent me? A lot of people in my life told me I remind them of Goku, which is weird because I don't fight. But I guess the idiot positivity. But he's not a video game character. I'm trying to think of who's equivalent to that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little too ragey to be Mario. Mario doesn't get nearly as mad at things as I do.
Could you be Bowser?
No, I'm not. Because I try everything.
Yeah.
Bowser's an asshole, and he keeps trying to steal a woman that doesn't want him. That's not something I would do. I would never do that. If someone tells me they don't want me, I'm just like, all right, goodbye forever then.
Imagine if Bowser was just like, all right, goodbye forever, and Mario didn't have any problems anymore.
Yeah, no, then I would be able to answer immediately. Yeah, Bowser. Actually, no, I got it. I'm Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm willing to help. I'm happy as hell, but as soon as I lost,
DK?
I'm DK, baby.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with being DK.
I love Donkey Kong.
All right, bonus final question. You can steal one item from any video game character. What would you take and what would you use it on?
Oh, man. This is a great question. I would probably take the Sands of Time from the Prince of Persia.
Yeah.
So that I could rewind time whenever I make a mistake. Yeah. I would just keep it so I can continue to make mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
Cop pulls me over. Take a right turn before he saw me.
Yeah, that would be a really nice item to have.
Right? Yeah, because I'm not like an invincibility person. Like, I'm an office worker. Like, I ain't living some extreme life, so I don't need like powerful items.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that though. Whenever I like need an edit button, essentially a redo.
I mean, that is probably the most powerful thing you can have is being able to rewind time.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like, even if you can rewind time, like a superstar, you can't touch Mario when he's superstar. You'll die.
Yeah, but you can rewind it before he picked it up.
True, but from what I understand, I guess I don't know fully the lore of, because I thought it rewinds you as well. So
yes.
You still wouldn't be able to be close to him and stop him from getting the star, not unless you rewinded a day before and you're like, I know where he's going to be tomorrow at 8 a.m. I don't know how it works, but from what I understand, you can't really rewind that much in Prince of Persia. So with its limits, I'm like, I like having the whenever I break something, I'm just like,
you want an undo button?
Yeah, I want an undo button.
Okay, bonus question. We figured out which video game character best represents you, but which video game character would be your best romantic partner?
Ooh, that's a tough one. For a romantic partner, because
I think last time I picked Link.
Yeah, you picked Link, which great choice. Link is a very pretty man.
Yeah, just gotta keep him outside because he's gonna break all the shit in the house.
It would be a great romantic partner for me.
Yeah, who do you think would complete? What video game character completes you?
Dang, probably like Triss Marigold from Witcher 3.
Yeah,
or Witcher 2 and Witcher 3. I like her a lot. One, I'm a redhead guy, so that's just but I also like that she's a powerful mage. Mm-hmm. She can handle herself. So I like a woman who can do both. Who's a great person to talk to. Very nice, feminine, but also you piss her off, she'll fireball you. So and I'll just never piss her off because I don't want to be extra crispy.
But that goes for our first intro questions. But let's dive into the game you brought, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. So first question, how old were you when you played that game?
7 years old.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's when it came out, 1998. I didn't play it right when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got to play it in the summer following, in 1999. I went to my aunt and uncle's house in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
My Aunt Debbie and my Uncle Dan. And my Uncle Dan was like my favorite uncle of like ever. He's such a special man in my heart. And he's the one who introduced me to it. And I'll always remember it because he named his character Batman, all caps. That's what he named Link. And that was one of the things that stuck out to me with the game is that you got to pick your name.
Yeah.
And it was always so funny because he would be Batman. And so like they'd be talking to Link. They're like, Batman, you must save Hyrule. And I'm like, he got such a kick out of that. But my Aunt Debbie was even funnier. She named her character My Love. So every time someone talked to Link, they'd be like, my love, I need you to do something for me.
Oh, that's funny.
And so that's also where my gamer tag comes from. Poe is from The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Originally it was Ace, but then my cousin Jace, he had a better claim to that.
Yeah.
He's also older than me. And so it took a long time. I switched to Kid with 2 Ds at first, but then I was Poe hunting in Ocarina of Time in the graveyard. And I was like, Poe? They're ghosts, they're spirits. This is like my digital spirit. That's like what I thought of as a kid. I was like, I'm gonna be Poe from now on, and it stuck around. Almost over 20 years later. So
nice. Yeah, Kid was one of the ones I chose too. When I was little, I feel like everybody chooses Kid at one point. I chose it because I liked Billy the Kid. So, but yeah, it was Kid, TJ, and then eventually Wing, and it's been a lot of things.
On to Asa, Happy Peach.
Yeah. So when you played the game, do you remember when the first thing that hooks you, like when you're playing it?
Yeah, the look.
Yeah.
So it was my first 3D game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, no, it wasn't. I'm sorry, it wasn't my first 3D game. That was Mario 64. The look of it specifically, my favorite color is green, so Link automatically stuck out. It was my first time seeing Zelda, like a Zelda game. I didn't play Link to the Past until after this game. And I loved the elf, green hat, green tunic, like everything about it. The sword and shield, the shield being an actual like tree bark, like the Deku shield. Everything about like young Link like just spoke to me, like just on a character design level, so well. The only other character like in all media that's ever had like that same impact is like Teen Gohan in Dragon Ball. So it's like it's young Link and Teen Gohan. Those characters, just like the first time I saw them, I just loved them. They spoke to me, just on a deep level. I also just like the way that it worked, the way that the game looked, and like how you moved. I did think it was weird that you couldn't jump without like Z targeting and doing a backflip. Yeah. But I also just loved like rolling. I just pressed roll all the time to get everywhere. But yeah, it was just the look. Like it was fantasy as well. This game made me realize that I love like medieval fantasy. Yeah, even though I didn't really play the game, the look was striking enough that I had found myself attached to it, so that even though I didn't play Link, when I played Smash Bros, I played as Link because I was attached to his look. It really sums up that cool, that middle ground between like anime and fantasy. Very much. Yeah, and it just looked really good. I also loved like the lore immediately. The Kokiri Forest, a forest of children that can't age, is very Peter Pan-ish, and I was a huge fan of Peter Pan. That might also be why I liked Link immediately. Yeah, he's very Peter Pan-y. He is very Peter Pan-y. Yeah. Okay, I'm starting to find out more stuff about myself. I was like, I loved like Hook was one of my favorite movies. With Robin Williams. And so it would make me watch the Disney version, even though I liked Hook better. But I would always go and see Peter Pan. I'm like, oh yeah, and he was also on the peanut butter jar a lot. He was. Yeah, so I always saw Peter Pan. I liked him. And I'm like, Link's just cooler Peter Pan.
Next question, which is an important one. What did your mom say when she saw the fairies? Did she ever see them?
She never said anything about them.
Oh, okay.
Well, you mean the Great Fairies?
The Great Fairies.
Sorry, I thought I'm like Navi. I'm like,
no, the Great Fairies.
To say about the orbs. She probably thought it was a fly.
No, the Great Fairies. I remember when my friend was playing it and his mom saw the Great Fairies. She's like, "What are you playing?"
That's a great question. I'm trying to think if my mom even ever saw them. They creeped me out as a kid, to be completely honest. I didn't have the sexual awakening that some people did.
Yeah.
I saw the triangle boobs, and I was like, that's not for me.
You don't want to poke your eye out?
No, I'm not Ralphie. I don't want a BB gun or a great fairy for Christmas. I don't think my mom ever saw it. And I also don't think I stayed on that screen long enough for anyone to really have an opinion on them. Because I didn't like seeing them. It wasn't until the 3DS remake that I was like, oh, I get what you guys were going for. They're much more attractive when they're using GameCube graphics.
Yeah. As a kid, you got what you got. But so you have a lot of fond memories, but is there any memory that you have of that game that was extremely frustrating? You feel like that challenged whether or not you really liked the game?
No. To be completely honest, this is one of the only games that I consider to be a perfect game. I got lost for hours in the water temple, and that's a huge pain point for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I just think, hey, no, it's a good puzzle. You can't lock yourself out. You miss something. And trust me, I played the game every single year after I first played it from beginning to end, because it was that special to me. You can always figure it out, and I still fuck up on it, but I really didn't find any fault or frustration with the game. I am extremely biased, but I also think that they really nailed it. It's hard. I think nowadays there'd be more issues. I think people wouldn't be able to deal with the camera.
Yeah, I think with time, with how far we've come in gaming, you can look back at it.
There was one thing that was frustrating, but it's not the game's fault. The N64 analog stick would always break because of how hard I would hold it forward to run across the field.
And then it'd just be that little dangling piece. Man.
Okay, yeah, that was the only thing.
Those things didn't last long.
Yeah, I hated that. Mm-hmm. There really wasn't any specific thing, because I loved all the music. I loved all the game mechanics. I would spend hours, bro, just playing the ocarina, not playing a specific song, but trying to learn it.
Yep.
Because I found out I had the Nintendo Power Guide a few years after I got it, and it told you that, hey, you can actually move the analog stick while you're playing it, and it'll change the octave to sharp and flat. So it was it was really cool. The game just kept on giving for me, bro. Do they still have musical instruments that you can play in Zelda games? No. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, no. The other games, most of them did. Majora's Mask kept the ocarina, but it also added new instruments based on what form you were in.
Okay. Wind Waker
was the baton.
And then Skyward Sword?
Harp. And Twilight Princess, no, but yes. As a wolf, you would have specific segments where you would play by howling.
But that was it.
Yeah.
So it got less and less until the point where it was gone. Do you think that's something that they might or should bring back to Zelda?
I think it's a should.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would, because again, I'm a little worried as a Zelda fan on the lessons that Nintendo's going to take from the success of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Because while I love those games, I think they are a little bit too much of a departure from Zelda traditionally. That I think that a lot of its soul is getting lost with that direction. So I would hope. I think musical instruments have been key to what makes Zelda different than other action adventure games, and it's a little sad that they don't have it. So I hope.
Yeah, I hope so too. like it whenever you can play instruments in games like Final Fantasy VII. You can or Rebirth. You can play the piano, which is really fun.
Those are so fun. I love those.
Very
sections.
fun. And then of course in The Last of Us there was the guitar.
Yeah.
So anytime they keep instruments in the games, it's always a fun little mini game to learn, and you can lose countless hours trying to learn how to play the music you love.
Plus, it's like so easy, in my opinion, to make it fun to play because you just have face buttons. Just like make me hold L2, pull out the instrument, just boom, 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 boom. I don't know.
So, question that I had. So, for the longest time, I thought Sheik and Zelda were different people. Did it blow your mind when they were the same person?
Yeah, it did. But I figured it out quick because my uncle beat the game in front of me.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, when I first saw Sheik, I was like, that's a dude. Like, I thought, I was like, Sheik's my bro. I got to help him out.
Yeah.
And I found out Sheik's a girl and that it's Zelda. And I was like, what? But I thought it was so cool. So it wasn't like it wasn't a bad thing. I thought it was one of those things that like, it was one of the first like shocks in a video game. That's also another thing that that's why I brought this game and like why it's so important. This is the first time that a video game spoke to me as an art form instead of just a game. I'd been playing Mario and Donkey Kong, and actually I kind of think that's all I played was like Donkey Kong Country and like the Super Mario Brothers games before this. And when I played this game, I was like, holy shit, games are like adventures. Like this is a story. I'm a hero. Like it really changed my perspective on what video games could be instead of just, they stopped being toys.
Yeah.
And they became, they came to be like art. Like they were stories, like books and movies. So it's probably where my like little chip on my shoulder towards anyone that like dogged on games as toys came from.
Yeah.
It was because Ocarina of Time impressed me so much that I was like, yeah, if you can't get it, then like you're trash, which is bad. But hey, you know, that was the kind of like energy I was left with, or always met with by people, was like, oh, video games are lame, just toys for children. And I'm like, yeah, well, you're just an ignorant piece of shit. So
dang, the spice. So the one other question I had about the game, and this was probably the most memorable moment that I have from Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, is when you fight like Dark Link.
Yes.
What do you call him?
He's just Dark Link.
Dark Link?
He's Dark You.
Yeah. But I remember that moment when I was watching my friend play it, and he walked into that room where there was just, what was it, clear floors? Reflective floor?
It was just water with a tree in the middle.
Yeah. And the Dark Link came out and pretty much did every move that he did. I don't even remember how he beat it. I don't remember what the rule is.
It's, well, you can try to out-health him. There is a way to beat him swordplay wise. It's just incredibly difficult, and you're going to get hit. The other way to cheese him is to either use the Megaton Hammer from the Fire Temple, or to use Din's Fire, the magical ability where you make a firewall.
Does he not have access to those, or?
Yeah, he doesn't have access to those. Because the thing is, he mirrors your moves, but he also counters them. So if you go for a stab motion, he'll actually hop on your blade, taunt you, and smack you. Which, when that first happened to me, I was like, oh. I was just blown away by that. But yeah, other than that, you kind of like have to just do diagonal slashes. That's one of the cool things about Ocarina of Time as well, that even, it's crazy that like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom don't even have this like simplistic thing, but you have 8 directions to slash. And the game doesn't tell you that. Like you have to figure it out on your own. But if you lock on and you press forward, you'll stab. If you lock on and neutral, you'll do a vertical. If you do it sideways, horizontal. And if you do diagonal, you'll actually do diagonal slashes.
Yeah.
And those really help out when you're fighting sword enemies, which, in fairness, there's not that many. It's the Lizalfos and the Dark Link. But in those moments, it shined for me. But yeah, if you want to beat Dark Link, I think you can just do a bunch of diagonal slashes. You'll take quite a few hits, but if you've got enough health and you're not doing the 3-heart challenge, you'll beat him.
Nice. Yeah, it was still something that reason why I'll want to play the game eventually is to beat Dark Link, because I've never had to fight him really, and never been able to beat him because I just watched somebody else do it. So that's on my bucket list for sure.
Yeah. Let me tell you, though, that's cool that you brought that up, because that was one of the coolest experiences for me as a kid.
Yeah.
Well, because your shadow disappears.
Oh.
Because that's the thing, is that you go into the room, it's all water. You can see the reflections of everything, and you can see your own reflection. But as soon as you pass the dirt mound with the tree, your reflection's gone. And then when you get to the door, it's locked, and if you look back, Dark Link's sitting there at the tree waiting for you. And I'm like, for an N64 game, that was just nuts.
That was probably that. When it goes down to like memorable video game moments, that was probably one of the ones I'll never forget. Was seeing that, and I thought that was such a cool concept of having to defeat yourself. Right.
Yeah. I also really loved the boss mechanics in the game. They're very well done, but also like just playing volley with Ganondorf's energy balls. Sick.
Real quick, like a top 5 bosses from Ocarina of Time.
Top 1, I still love just Ganondorf Ganon. The final fight is just fun as hell to do. I think other than that, Twin Rova is a second one. You have to use the mirror shield to make sure you get the right fire and ice reflected at them. To use a shield in combat is chef's kiss. And then the third fight that I would give them, that I would give the high score to. Probably Bongo Bongo, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the drum. He's a very unique fight because you're on a drum getting bounced around, but you need to shoot his arms with arrows and then use the lens of truth to be able to see that and fuck him up. But yeah, I would say those are the top 3.
Top 3? Okay. Top 3 is not bad. Now, finally, the final thing I'll ask about Ocarina of Time is how do I say this? If you could take one thing from the game that you think is really important, has been missed in games nowadays, what's something you would take from it and impart in the next generation of games to make sure that they hold on to that concept or that thing?
What we talked about earlier, music. Specifically, having enough confidence in players to be able to play songs by memory. I think it's just it's so unique, and it's only been used in less than 5 video games, and it's such an incredible game mechanic that makes the game stand out. It also makes the music stand out. Everything about that mechanic made Ocarina of Time ascend past just bleeps and bloops to me.
Yeah.
It makes me sad that games aren't using flutes, violins, and a shit ton of instruments, and having characters just even just for puzzles, just have me play a specific song that opens a door or makes a guardian light up or a statue. I would love to see that, because everything else has been carried over from Ocarina of Time. It's kind of 3D action games wouldn't exist at the level that they do without this game because of 3D lock on. And the action button with the context sensitivity. So yeah, that's the only mechanic I feel like no one brought, because horseback riding's from Ocarina of Time, all that shit's from this game. But one of the most unique things about it, they just were I'm not gonna touch it. But yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, thank you so much for bringing that game. I think that if you haven't played Ocarina of Time like me, I think we all need to do it justice and give it a shot. We can play it on Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, you can play it on Switch. I will say I do wish that Nintendo would remake it.
Yeah.
Just so it has camera control. Because I will say it is a bit rough for people to play if you're not used to having to press a button to realign the camera behind you, which can be really finicky when you're in a labyrinth. But yeah, if you can get over it, please play that masterpiece. All right. But now we're going to go into our last boss topic. And we're going to keep it spooky themed. So what I wanted to ask for both of us is, what 3 games or game events do you look forward to the most for the Halloween season? Let's start with you, since I've been talking so much about Zelda.
No problem. So for me, I thought about this, and there's not a lot for Halloween. So I'm not the biggest Halloween fan. I'm a Christmas fan, but I know, sacrilegious.
Hey, no. Christmas is fine.
Yeah. But so there's been a few Halloween events that I've really enjoyed based off of their activities or their designs, essentially. Number 1 is going to have to go to Monster Hunter. I love when anytime an event comes around in Monster Hunter, I like the cutscene that you get of the gathering hall, all the different types of equipment that you can get, the outfits that you can wear or your handler can wear. So I do really enjoy whenever a holiday event or any event comes along in Monster Hunter. They also normally have like a themed hunt that you can do. And so currently Monster Hunter World holds the number 1 spot for Halloween. What about you for your number 1?
For my number 1, I know it's recency bias, but I really think I'm probably going to play Silent Hill 2 from now on every Halloween, because I don't think anything scares me quite as much as that game does. Just the spookiness. Also the fog helps with the fall feel. Even though we don't get fog in Arizona.
And moving on to the fall feel, or piggybacking on that, there's a game. So this is something I want to create as a tradition, because I do have a tradition of during this time watching the Harry Potter movies, right? I'll just put them on. I want to play Hogwarts Legacy during this time. I do enjoy that game a lot, and I need to play through it so I can get the experience. So that's something that I've been promising myself this year, is that I'm going to play some more Hogwarts Legacy. So that was the plan, is after this episode was go home, play a little bit of, download that and play some. So anything Harry Potter themed during this season is like what I'm really into. That's my vibe when it comes to Halloween, something in the harvest type feel. Family friendly, witchy type vibe.
I know, mine's all horror and guts over here, and you're just like, I like pumpkins.
I like Disney Channel Halloween movies, okay? I want to carve a pumpkin and eat candy corn.
Ew.
I don't want to eat candy corn. I just picked the candy, right? But what would you say is your number 2?
Number 2, Resident Evil 4. It's funny, I would pick Silent Hill 2 for the spookiness, but I like Resident Evil 4 more because I like action horror. And man, nothing gets me more in like the vibe of like zombies than just taking out a bunch of them with roundhouse kicks. I also think like that game has especially the remake, because I don't think I would have said this about Resident Evil 4 original. I think I would put Resident Evil 2 remake above that. But with the remake of 4, it being like dark and moody, it gives you those vibes without having to always put you on edge, because I'm not always in the mood to be terrified. Like Silent Hill's a little rough sometimes, because it's like I couldn't play it for long stretches because I was just like, it's just too tense. Like I need a break. And so Resident Evil 4 remake specifically would be my number 2. That's
a good choice. Yeah, I mean, even I don't play that game a lot because it's too like scary and horrifying. So even though it's an action game, I'm just, everything in my DNA says scary. I'm going to go the other way.
That's fair.
But for my number 3, it would have to be, MMOs. So in general, MMOs, they normally have a really fun sort of Halloween or Christmas event or whatever you may have it. I've experienced the event for Final Fantasy. I've recently experienced the event for Guild Wars. But pretty much any time that any type of MMO I'm playing does a Halloween event, I'm excited for that, because it's normally you and a bunch of other people going around enjoying, like dressing up like pumpkins or doing some type of special like pumpkin event or something like that to get unique time-sensitive rewards. There was this fun time back in the day. I used to play Terra online a lot. Alex played it with me, and they had this really cool Halloween event where there was a Halloween castle, almost like Dracula's castle, that just shows up, and you have to go in there and make your way all the way through the castle to get to the boss or whatever. I never even made it all the way that far, but just having that sort of Halloween feel, the music, going in there, killing monster after monster, going through these like the labyrinth was really fun for me. So anytime an MMO has like a Halloween event, I'm into that. So
nice. Very good choice.
Mm-hmm.
My third choice is not blood and guts themed. This one is wholesome. Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
I think Animal Crossing does Halloween events usually really well. One, you get to see the game change into fall colors. But there's usually a lot of bugs that only come out during the Halloween season. But also the characters do like a week-long Halloween event where it's
That's
about
really
trick-or-treating.
That's a game I wish I liked more, man. I feel like that would be the perfect, like, play it during certain festivals or, like, holidays.
That's what got me the most hooked on those games, to be honest. And, yeah, I really wish that I liked New Horizons more. But, again, that is still something that's special to me from the games. Even though I'm not as big a fan anymore, I still look fondly at that. And I think it still trumps every other like Halloween experience, other than like Silent Hill 2 and Resident Evil 4. But yeah, well, thank you for answering those, and thank you, listeners, for tuning into another Game Language episode. We're gonna get our video game vocab and then final credits, and then we'll be saying goodbye to you, lovely listeners. So, for today's video game vocab, just to keep it on topic with something that Zelda brought, was contextual actions / context sensitivity. Context sensitivity is important in video games, especially those controlled by a gamepad, joystick, or computer mouse, in which the number of buttons available is limited. It is primarily applied when the player, is in a certain place and is used to interact with a person or object. For example, if the player is standing next to a non-player character, an option may come up allowing the player to talk with him / her. Implementations range from the embryonic QuickTime event to context-sensitive sword combat, in which the attack used depends on the position and orientation of both the player and opponent, as well as the virtual surroundings. A similar range of use is found in the quote-unquote action button, which, depending upon the in-game position of the player's character, may cause it to pick something up, open a door, grab a rope, punch a monster or opponent, or smash an object. The response does not have to be player activated. An on-screen device may only be shown in certain circumstances. Examples such as targeting crosshairs in a flight combat game may indicate the player should fire. An alternative implementation is to monitor the input from the player, level of button pressing activities such as like holding or only half pressing. And use that to control the pace of the game in an attempt to maximize enjoyment or to control the excitement or ambiance. The method has become increasingly important as more complex games are designed for machines with few buttons, keyboardless consoles. Also didn't realize that context sensitivity, did you know combos essentially are context sensitive? Like if a move can only be used within a combo, that's essentially a context.
Yeah.
So,
well, good to know. Here, I got the timer for you.
Oh, hell yeah.
And with that, it is time for our final credits. This is the last part of the show where we give you 30 seconds
uninterrupted
to say whatever your heart desires.
Be it salty.
Sweet.
Or say nothing at all.
The mic is yours.
Tell us what's on your mind.
Jason, in 3, 2, 1.
So, I would just like to leave you guys with just a thought, since I was very spicy about people who hate video games or don't view them as art. I still love you, even if your opinion is short-sighted. But I did just want to state, though, that like if you do have that opinion, like legitimately, please just check out like some video games and have an open mind, because they really can change your life.
Cut! Game Language is recorded at Grizzly Voices Studios in Mesa, Arizona. Our producers are Jason Flynn and Troy Brown. Our intro music is our personal track, Penguin Symphony. Our outro music is Jump by Snail's House, also provided by Riot Music. Our editor and sound engineer is Adonis Shiflin.